Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this video we are going to solve another SQL problem, which is consecutive numbers. Trust me, you don't want to miss this video. I am recording this section separately after finishing my first recording, just to tell you that you don't want to miss this one, because we will discuss some important concepts in this question. And this video, yeah, turned out to be a longer one, but I hope you get something new from this video. So let's see what is the question. So we have a table logs. So in SQL, id is the primary key of this table. Id is an auto increment column starting with 1, and we have this number as another column. Okay, find all numbers that appear at least 3 times consecutively. Return the result table in any order. The result format is in the following example. So let's see the example. We have this logs table id and number, and so we want at least 3 numbers consecutively. So we have 1 1 1, so 3 numbers consecutively, like 1 is appearing 3 times, 2 1 2 2. So in our answer we have this one. 1 is the only number that appears consecutively for at least 3 times, which we can see here. Okay, so whenever I see consecutive numbers and things like this, the first thing which comes to my mind is lag and lead. So that is another window function, lead and lag. So what it actually does, let me show you a quick description here. So the lag function in SQL is one of the most powerful and flexible tools available for performing advanced data analysis. It is often used to compare rows, calculate difference, and tracks trends in dataset, especially for time series data. If you are looking for sales, okay, the SQL lag function is a window function that allows you to retrieve the value of a column from a previous row in the result set. Unlike aggregated functions like sum, average, etc., the lag function does not collapse the result set. Instead, it returns the value for each row based on a specific window or partition of the data. It gives you a powerful way to compare rows. That's what we want to do, right? So we have to basically see. So in order to get consecutive rows, we have to see, okay, if we come here, we have to somehow visualize if there is something above that or if there is something below this, right? So for example, if we come here, then we have to, in order to decide if we want to take this row in our output or not, it has to check if is there any one before me, yes, is there anyone after me, yes, then it will say okay, then I will be in the answer. Similarly, this, what it will say, it will check above, is there anyone above, no, then we can't have this in our answer, right? Similarly, this one, it will check, is one above, yes, is one up below, no, so we also cannot have this in our answer, this row. You got the idea, right? So that's what, so we are comparing the rows here, right? So that's what this lag function helps us to do. So it helps us to compare rows. Let's quickly see a syntax. So lag, scalar expression, offset and default, which is kind of optional, over, partition by clause, and order by clause. So scalar expression, this one, the value to be returned based on the specified offset. So the value to be returned, so what value we want, in our case the value which we want to return is this value from this num column, right? Because we are comparing if there is any value before me or not, which is exactly the same. So we are basically checking the value in our num column. So this is your, the value to be returned is your scalar expression. Offset is the number of rows back from the current row from which to obtain a value. If not specified, the default is 1. So the number of rows back from the current row. So in our case, we just want to see one row above us, right? So default value is 1, and this default is value to be returned if offset goes beyond the scope of the partition. If a default value is not specified, null is returned. So in our case, for example, when we are starting with this one, there is nothing above this, right? So in that case, null, we will just say null. So that's what your default value is. Partition by clause is again an optional clause that divides the result set into partitions. Lag function is applied to each partitions separately. For example, here if we come here, so here they just gave a example. So here in this one, they wanted to track the revenue of a news organization over the years. So they wanted to basically track for each organization. So in that case, they are using partition, but in our case, there is no, as such, we don't have to do any partition, right? Because id is just some incremental values, so there is nothing to partition about. So we can keep it as optional. Order by clause, order of the rows within each partition, this is mandatory and must be specified. Okay, so and there is this lag, another function is lead. So lag is checking one row, like previous rows. Lead is basically checking like the following rows. Okay, exactly the same, but just instead of previous values, it will check the following values. So for example, this will check value here. For lag, it will check one value up. For lead, it will check one value down. Okay, so because we want 3 consecutive numbers, so applying lead and lag kind of solves our problem, right? So let's see how we will do it. So select, we want to select number, right? And we will use this lag function. We want to have this applied on this num column, and how many previous rows we want to check. We just want to check one previous row. By default, it is checking. If we don't specify anything, it will take one, but let's specify it anyway. And if, for example, how we discussed, if there is this, if we start with this one and if there is nothing above, then by default the value will be null. Okay, and this over keyword, order by id is already incremental values, so we can order by this id, right? Because we want to just go one by one, so we will say order by id. And let's give this name as lag, and we want to check one value, like one following values as well, right? So what we will do, we will just do a lead. Instead of lag, we will just do a lead, and we will write the same thing. So, and exactly the same over order by id as lead. Okay, and from logs table. So let's see if we run this. So here, that's the output we are getting. So our num was num1, so this row num, there was nothing previously, so it is coming as null. One was, this is the one after this, so we got in lead, we got this one. Similarly, for this second row, there was one previous row, there was one in the following row, so we got this one. And similarly here for this one, so one, my lag was 1, my lead is 2, so that's what we are getting here. Similarly others, and in the last one, if we come at the last row, then here we have 2, and then previous was 2, and there is nothing in the lead, that's why it is coming as null. Okay, so now if we see this, what do we want? We just want to return in our output if my num is equal to lag is equal to lead, then give me that as an answer, right? So let's define this in a CT. So we can just say lag and lead as just defining a temporary table here. So with this, okay, so and then if we do select distinct, because we want distinct numbers, so if we select distinct num, we want distinct num from my ll, this ll, where my number is equal to lg and my lg should be equal to ld, lead. So we will get this one and nothing else, right? Because all three are different in other rows. So and that's it. So if we run it, so we got the one, but in our column name should be this one, so we can just say this one. So yeah, we got the answer, right? So if we submit, so it's got, now it is accepted. So I hope this lag and lead is clear. This is like important concept, so you should know this window function, and it comes handy when we have something like this, when you want to compare rows, right? So yeah, this was your first approach using lag and lead. Now let's see another approach. So whenever, let's try to solve it using a self join, because if you think, we are basically comparing our table value with itself, right? So this row should know from the same table, it should get some information about the previous row, right? So this makes it a perfect candidate for self join, because somehow we want to get the information from the same table, right? So what we can do, we can do a join where my, so let's write and then I will explain while writing. So we can say, so in the answer we want a distinct num, right, as consecutive nums, and from logs l1, now we want to do a self join. So we will join with logs, let's give this alias as l2, and here because num is same in everywhere, so we will say l1 dot num, otherwise it will be ambiguous, like which num, in from which table you want this num. That's why we will define l1 dot num. So we want our final answer to coming from this table. So we are joining our l1 table, self joining our l1 table with l2, and on which condition? So because we want three consecutive numbers, so all the numbers should be same. So my number in my l1 table should be equal to the number in my l2 table, right? Make sense? And because we have to check one id before, right? So we will do two self join. In one join we will check values from one row up. So for example, in this one, so number 1 should be matching with this number 1 and my id here. So to l1 dot id is equal to my second table id minus 1, right? So l1 dot id should be equal to l2 dot id minus 1. That's what it is happening. So 1 is matching with 1, and id from this current table, l1 table, should match with my another table id minus 1, right? So then only we want to select that row. Okay, so this is your one join. Now because we also have to check one row after this one, so similarly what we will do, we will do another join. So we want to join our this cell join L3, okay, on L1 dot num is equal to L3 dot num, right? So this row number should be same, this is clear. And now similarly my id should be 1 greater, right? So L1 dot id should be equal to L3 dot id minus 1, sorry, plus 1, right? So L1 dot id, which is 2, and 1 id greater, right? And if we run this, then yeah, it is accepted. So let's submit. This is also accepted. So this is using your self join. So how I normally, in case you are finding this a bit confusing, so how I normally visualize this is using, so I will show you my, like, how I normally visualize self join. So let me give you one example here. So I just created this, we have this L1 table, L2 table, same, because of the self join the table would be the same, right? And L3 is also the same. So in our function what we are doing, first let's do this join, and then we will see how internally it is basically working. Okay, so we come here. Now let's see here. So we have this, our condition, this is our first condition, right? L1 dot id is equal to L2 dot id minus 1. That's what we have written here. L1 dot id is equal to L2 dot id minus 1. Okay, so our first row, it will come, it will, this is our L2, so it will check, first it will check the number should be equal, right? Because we are doing these two conditions, joining on two conditions, so our number should always be equal. So we will come here, we will say, okay, this one from this L2 table is 1 equal to 1, yes, okay. Then another condition, is my L1 dot id 1 is equal to L2 dot id minus 1. So my L2 dot id is 1, 1 minus 1 0, is 0 equal to 1? No, then this row will not come, because whenever we are joining, writing this join, it is taking an inner join, right? So in this case it is not matching, so this row will not appear. Then this one, sorry, this not this row will not match, but yeah, I mean with this it is not matching. Okay, then this one will come here. Now it will check 1 is equal to 1, yes. Then L1 dot id 1 is equal to L2 dot id, which is 2, 2 minus 1 1, so is 1 is equal to 1, yes. Now this row is matching with this row, that means we can have this join, right? So we can write this one 1, so this 1 and 1 from L1 table is matching with my 2, 2 and 1, this row. Okay, then it will check here, is 1 equal to 1, yes. And then it will check, is L1 dot id 1 is equal to L2 dot id minus 1, 3 minus 1 2, so is 1 equal to 2? No, then this row will not match. Okay, similarly here num is not matching, so it will skip. So here now 1 is equal to 1, then it will match. And but here 5 minus 1 4 is not equal to 1, so it will also skip. Similarly this 2 will also skip. So for this one row we can able to match this. Okay, now we come here, so this row will start matching with all these values one by one. So is 1 equal to 1? Yes. Now our condition is L1 dot id, so 2 is equal to L2 dot id, so 1 minus 1 0, is 2 equal to 0? No, then it will not match with this one. Similarly, number is matching but id 2 minus 1 is not equal to 2, so it will skip. And this row basically will check with this one. 1 is equal to 1, yes. Then L2 dot id minus 1, 3 minus 1 2, is 2 equal to 2, yes. So this row is matching with this row, right? So we can write 2 1, and it matching with this one 3, so 3 3 1. Okay, similarly this row, okay, how can we make it so this row is matching with this one? No, because 1 is not equal to 2, then this will skip. This here, now it will come check with this row. 1 is equal to 1, yes, but this id is kind of not, the difference is not 1, so it will skip. Similarly, this two are also skip. So for this row we could able to find this join. Okay, now comes the third. This similarly, this one, it will check with this one. 1 equal to 1, yes, but 1 minus 1 0, right? Because L1 dot id is 3, L2 dot id is 1. 1 minus 1 0, 0 is not equal to 3, so this will skip. Similarly, this one, 2 minus 1, 1 is 1 equal to 1, but 2, this 2 id 2 minus 1 is 1, is not equal to this L1 dot id, so this will skip. Similarly, this will skip. This will skip because this L2 dot num is not equal to L1 dot num, so this will skip. This will also skip. L1 L2 dot num is equal to L1 dot num, but this id is not matching. L2 dot id 5 minus 1 4 is not equal to 3. Similarly, these two will also be skipped. So for this row also we couldn't find anything, so that's why we are not writing anything in our output. Now our row changes to this one, so this is our current row. Okay, and then it will check here. 1 is, so the number itself is not matching, this it will skip. This it will come here. Number is matching but id is also equal, so but we want like L2 dot id minus 1, so which becomes 3. 3 is not equal to 4. Okay, so it will also skip. Here number is not matching, so this will skip. Here number is matching but the difference in ids is not 1, so it will also skip. Similarly, this is also skip. So for this row we couldn't find anything. Now comes this our next one. So this one is equal to 1, but as you can see, all this the difference in the ids are greater than 1, so all this will be skipped. This will be skipped because number is not matching. Here number is matching but id is also equal, so but we want L1 dot id 5 should be equal to L2 dot id minus 1, so 5 minus 1 4 is not equal to 5. This is also skipped. These two will be skipped because number is not matching. So for this row also we couldn't find anything. 6, then our row comes here, then 2, so these three will be skipped because number is not matching. Then comes here, 2 is equal to 2, yes, but L1 dot id is not equal to L2 dot id minus 1, so L2 dot id is 4 minus 1, 3 is not equal to 6, it will skip. This will also skip because number is not matching. This will, number is matching but id is not matching, I mean this condition of id is not matching. Then 2 is matching but L2 dot id minus 1, 7 minus 1 6 is equal to 6, yes. So this row is matching with this row, so we can write 6 2 is matching with 7 2, right? So this is your from this row. So then our current row becomes this one. Now it will again start checking the same. This 3 it will not match. Similarly, id difference is not 1, this will skip. This will also skip because 6 minus 1 5 is not equal to 7, and 7 minus 1 6 is not equal to 7, so this is also skipped. So okay, so from this our first join we are getting this is our result from the first join. Now what we are doing, we want to join again with L3, and our condition is number should be matching, but L1.id is equal to L3.id plus 1. L1.id is equal to L3.id plus 1. Okay, so we have now this table, and we will compare from this table to this one. Okay, so now this is our first row, so it will check 1 is equal to 1, yes, but what we want, L1.id is equal to L3.id plus 1. So 1 plus 1 2, 2 is not equal to 1, so this will be skipped. Then so for this one we will get so similarly it will check with this row, 1 is equal to 1, but L3.id plus 1 3 is not equal to 1, so this row will also not match. Similarly all the IDs are greater here, that's why one of the condition will fail. If number is matching, then ID won't match, so we couldn't able to find any row in our L3 table which can satisfy our condition, so we are basically getting null here, right? So nothing is matching. Then similarly then comes here, this row will start matching, so 1 is equal to 1, yes, L3.id plus 1, so 1 plus 1 2, because this is our condition, right? So here this is our condition, L1.id is equal to L3.id plus 1, so our L1.id is 2, is it equal to L3.id plus 1? So 1 plus 1 2 is equal to 2, yes, so we found one match here, so we can write here 1 1. Okay, similarly it will check with this one, 1 is equal to 1, yes, but L3.id plus 1 3 is not equal to 2, therefore it will skip this. Similarly, as all the IDs are bigger, so if it is not matching with 2, it won't, this ID is even bigger, so it will become 4 is not equal to 2, 5 is not equal to 2, so we won't be able to find any row, right? But we got this one row matching. Now comes this one, so this 2, it will not match with this num values because these are all 1. Okay, it will check with this one, 2 is equal to 2, yes, but 4 plus 1 5 is not equal to 6, so it will also skip. This one number is not matching, so this row is also skipped. 2 is equal to 2, yes, but 6 L3.id plus 1, 6 plus 1 7 is not equal to 6, it is also skipped. 2 is matching, but 7 plus 1 8 is not equal to 6, so this is also skipped. So for this also we are unable to find any row, so because it is an inner join, so we are left with only this is the row we are left with, because in this whole we have some nulls here, so we are left with only this row, and in this what is our, so this is the result of our join, all the join, and then after doing all the join it will do the select. So in our select we want distinct L1.num, so it will come here, L1.num is here, so we have distinct L1.num, because there is only one row which is satisfying all the conditions, so distinct value of L1.1 L1.num is 1, so yeah, we are getting this 1 in our answer. So I hope this is clear. So that's how I visualize my self join, right? So yeah, you just take this column side by side and then you check how we check now. So this was your second approach using self join. I hope this is clear. Now let's see one another interesting approach using so we will actually use lag only, but we will also use uh, cumulative sum, like running sum. So let's see how it works. So let's first visualize how we can solve it in another way. So we have this three values are consecutive, right? And then here it got break, right? because this was kind of in one group, right? And then comes 2, so it is again checking our it is again checking like 3 consecutive values related to 2, but nothing is there, so it is like forming another group in itself, right? Then comes 1, so again the consecutivity breaks, so this one is again alone, and then this 2 is kind of also there together because third 2 is missing, but they also kind of make one group, right? Because above is 1, so it cannot match with this, it cannot make any group with this one, but these two can come together, right? So what we are trying to do here, we are trying to get these in one group. Okay, if they are part of one group, right, then it will be easy to just check one value in that group, right? So how we can do is, if we mark the starting of each group and then check all the values within that group, right? So visually, like, if we see this, we can, our mind can see, okay, these belongs to one group, and because it was alone, so it doesn't belong, it has their, it has its own group. Similarly, 1 is alone and it is not making any consecutive numbers, so it is also kind of separate, right? It is making a group in itself, these two. So this, if while visualizing we can easily see, right? But we have to somehow make this, our SQL also think like that, right? So what we can do, this, if we mark our starting of group, if we somehow, if we can like mark an indication, like my one group starts at this level, then my another group starts at this level, then we can basically separate, right, different groups. So what I want to say is, like, let me also like write the query, then it might be more clear, because I'm not sure if I'm making it more complicated. So what I want to do here, so I will use this lag function, so my lag num, and because 1 and in our first approach we discussed like these are default values, so I will just not write it, and over. Okay, so we can also write like this, over, without specifying anything. And what we want to say, if my, so I will write an condition if, because here what we are trying to do, we are trying to find the starting point of each group. So if my number is equal to the lag value, then what I want, then I want to mark it as 0, otherwise 1 as start, okay, from logs. So let's see what output we get. So here what we are getting, so we knew that these 3 belongs to one group, right? So what I'm saying here, I am checking one, so if my number is matching with the lag, so it will check the value, previous value, then mark it as 0, otherwise mark it as 1. Okay, so here it will come here 1, there is nothing, there is no previous row, right? So then it will check as 1. So with this we are saying that, okay, because there is nothing matching with the above one, this is a start of our group, right? Similarly, 1 will match here, so it is matching, so there it can be a part of some group, so that's why we are making it as 0. Okay, so because here what we are trying to do, we are trying to get the starting point of our group. Similarly, this was a part of a group, that's why we make it as 0. So now this is one group, right? And then comes 2, so 2 is checking one value, like previous value, it is saying 2, is my 2 equal to 1? No, that means because it cannot be a part of my previous group, So let's start a new group from here. So I'm starting a new group like 1, then comes 1. So 1 will check previous value and it is saying okay, no, I cannot be a part of previous group, so I will start my new group. So it will say okay, that's why we are saying it as 1. Now comes 2. 2 is not matching with 1, so it is not, basically it cannot join the previous group, so it will start its new group 1. So this 2 is matching with this 2, so he is telling like okay, I will join your group, and it is uh, making it as 0, indicating that okay, I will not start a new group. So I hope this is clear. So likewise, now we have this starting of each group. Now what we can do, let's give this, create a CT here, create this as a table here. So with st as, this is our 1. Okay, now let's do a cumulative running total. So why do we need this? So let's see. So we have this, now we have to somehow identify this group. So we are saying that okay, one group starts from here, another one here, right? So but now we have to identify this group also, right? So we have to somehow get everything which belongs to one group. So what we can do, we can do a sum of cumulative sum. So let me first write it, and then we will see how it will turn out to be. So we want to do sum of all the values over order by my id, okay, as group, okay, from st. So from this st is here, so from this st, and then let's do select star from cn. Okay, so now what we are getting, so this is the new column which we are creating here. So what we are doing, we are basically doing a summing all the values. So it will check here, and till this point there is only one value, so it will just take 1. Now comes here 0. So the running this, so when we write like this, it is basically we are doing a running total. I'm not sure if I'm making it too complicated to understand, but yeah, let's see. uh, so then this 0 is, we are basically doing sum, right? So till this row, what is my total sum? So previous sum was 1, so 1 plus 0 1, so we are getting this 1. Now comes this row, till this row, what is my total sum? So 1 plus 0 plus 0 is 1, right? You can also take 1 plus 0 here, which is 1. Now comes this row, what is my total till this row? So this one was total till this row, so 1 plus 1 2. Similarly here 2 plus 1 3. Similarly here, what is my total sum? We are doing a sum of start, right? We are doing sum of start till this row. So 1 plus 1 2 3 4, that's why we got here 4. We can also think like 3 plus 1 4, and similarly 4 plus 0 4, right? So in case you are confused like how it is checking uh, this all the rows above, so internally what it is doing, internally it is writing like this: I want to do a sum of my start, over is the keyword which we have to write. So this is also like a window function which we are doing. Instead of sum, we can also write average, count. Okay, so order by id, we want to do the sum order by id. So internally, if we write like this, internally what is happening, internally it's written like this: rows between unbounded preceding and current row. Internally it is writing this. If you don't specify, by default it will check this. Now I hope this is making more sense. So what it is doing, do my sum over order by id. So our id is already in like in order, in ascending order, between, so I want my rows between unbounded preceding. That means there is no bound, there is no boundation of my preceding rows ids. Okay, so the id should be from the beginning till my current row. So my rows should be between unbounded preceding, so there is no boundation preceding, and current row. Okay, so that's what it was happening here. So when we come, let's suppose we come here, so we want what we want to do sum of our start order by id is already ordered, rows between unbounded preceding. So there is no boundation in our preceding, so it will start from the beginning, and current row. So 1 plus 0 plus 0 1 plus 1 2 plus 1 3, it became 3 here. Similarly it comes here, so rows between unbounded preceding, so it will start unbounded preceding. I hope it is clear now. It will start from the beginning, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus till my current row 4. So that's what, so if I run this, we will get the same answer. So we got the same 2 3 4 4. Okay, so and there is another thing which we can write. Instead of writing current row, we can write 0 following. So it is saying like, okay, unbounded preceding and following, I don't want any following rows, so it is 0 following. So if they, you can also write current row, or you can also write 0 following. Okay, so this is your rolling, what do we say, running total. Okay, so similar to this, there is another similar concept called rolling total. So let's suppose we wanted a sum. I mean, this is not a part of this question, but just to explain you, this was your running total. Okay, but in some example, for example, in some other question, if you want to find sum of these 3 rows only, right, rolling window kind of thing, so rolling total if you want, then you can also specify, okay, I want to do a sum of like 1 following and maybe 2 preceding. So it will, if we come here, it will come here and it will check rows between 2 preceding, so these 2, and 1 following, this one, so it will do a sum of these 4. Similarly, if we, similarly this row will check these 2 current row and 1 following, so it is kind of rolling window. And this row will skip the first one, id2, and then this one. I hope this is clear, right? So like id4 will take 2 3 4 5, so this, and then id5 will take 3 4 5 6. So we are kind of shifting the window, right? But that is like, I'm just explaining it. We, in this question, we don't want to do that, because we want to take the sum of all the from unbounded preceding. So I will just I can just also keep it 0 following, or we can also write current row. Okay, so this is our now intermediate table. This is how we are getting. Now if you will look closely, if we do a group by here, now we have this group, right? This is one group, 2 is another group, 3 4. So if we do group by grp, and if we take our, in this group, if we take this distinct number, so if I take distinct num from this table cm, this cm which we created, group by this, and in our group, what do we want? At least there should be 3 numbers, right? So if we do having, my group has to have at least 3 members in the group, right? So having, if we do count star should be greater than equal to 3, right? And So what it will do, it will, because we are doing group by this grp, so this is 111, this will be coming as one group. Now having count star, so should be greater than equal to 3, there should be at least 3 member in this group, right? Similarly another group will be group by grp, so 2, but there are no 3 members, so when we will do count star, there is only 1, so this will not come. Similarly 3 is also single, 4 is another group, but count star is not equal to greater than equal to 3, so this will skip also, right? And in each this we are taking like distinct number, because in each group we have 111 repeated, so we want distinct. So now if we run it, then we got the answer. I mean, we have to write this as column. So yeah, now this is also accepted, so let's submit. This is also accepted. So this was your another approach to solve this question. I hope this was quite informative, and I hope you guys are not confused, because yeah, I think there was a lot of new things here. But yeah, you can watch this video again, and I hope I was able to explain this properly. If not, then let me know in the comment section, and maybe I will try to create another video separately explaining this concept, running sum and rolling. So this was your running total and like running total and rolling total. So yeah, I think that's it for this video, and if you guys have any other doubts, then let me know. And okay, then I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, bye.